Here we start on the CSF Agency portal. To start a Core 2026 to 2029 application, click Core Funding Opportunity in the upper right corner of the page. At the bottom of the Core application landing page, locate the table titled Previous Proposals. Once a proposal has been initiated, it will appear in this table. To start a new proposal, follow the instructions immediately to the left of the Previous Proposals table and toggle the Core 2026 to 2029 selection from Continue Previous Proposal to Start New Proposal. Once activated, the toggle will present the user with a list of terms and conditions that must be acknowledged to reveal a button with the label Start New Core 2026 to 2029 Proposal. Upon clicking the button, users will be navigated to a screen prompting them with 3 required questions. Once answered, users will be then navigated back to the Core application landing page, where they can select their newly created proposal from the table located at the bottom. This application is organized into 5 main tabs, and each tab must be saved individually before moving on to the next. The first 4 tabs, Agency Information, Program Outcomes, and Program Request, are where you'll enter your data. The 5th tab, called Application Requirement Check, is a read-only page. It doesn't collect information, but instead helps you track your progress and, once everything is complete, submit your application. Let's take a closer look. The Program Outcomes tab may display additional pages, depending on the fields you select. The Program Request tab has 3 subtabs: Request Total, Activities and Services Request, and Atypical Services and Expenses. Shown here on Tab 1, Agency Information, each of the first 4 tabs includes a status indicator in the top left corner. This indicator shows whether the tab has been completed or still needs attention. The 5th tab, Application Requirement Check, brings everything together. It shows the completion status of all 4 tabs, along with candid requirement status. It's important to understand the difference between saving and completing a tab. Each tab includes at least 2 button types: Save Progress and Mark as Complete. Clicking Save Progress will store your progress so you can return later, but it will not mark the tab as complete. To mark a tab as complete, you must click the Mark as Complete button after answering all required questions. Finally, in order to submit your application, each of the first 4 tabs must be marked complete. Once that's done, you'll be able to submit through the Application Requirement Check tab. Diving deeper into the application, we start here on the Agency Information tab. Users may increase the size of all free text fields by grabbing the right corner of the text box with their mouse and moving up or down. All free text fields include a limited character count. Character count can be tracked below each free text field once typing has begun. This tab contains required uploads. You may select files by dragging them from their original location onto the designated Files Upload field. Users may also click Upload Files to launch a file explorer and select specific files. You will have the ability to see previously uploaded files' names, but you will not have viewing access from the CSF Agency portal. Moving on to Tab 2, Program Information. Some questions require additional information and may reveal additional fields. Once a field has been revealed, it is also required to be answered. This tab includes up to 2 tables for user data entry. To add a new line value to either of these tables, click the New button in the upper right corner of the table. A pop-up will appear with required fields. For the new location editor shown here, you can enter locations from the CSF site directory. A link to the PDF has been included above the site directory table. Type in the specified location by name and select, and allow for 5 to 10 seconds for relevant information to load before clicking Save. Users may also delete records by clicking the down arrow to the far right of a specified line item and selecting Delete. For this site locations table specifically, updates must be saved using the Save Site Locations button before moving on. The Program Funding Sources table located at the bottom of this tab may be saved using the tab's standard Save Progress button. Tab 3 Program Outcomes. This tab will have additional pages based on how many program focus areas have been selected. To begin, choose the single most appropriate service area for the proposed program and up to 3 program focus areas. Users are only required to make a selection for program focus area number 1. Numbers 2 and 3 are optional. For each focus area selection made, applicants will need to provide 1 to 3 outcomes per focus area for a potential maximum of 9 outcomes. To begin editing outcomes, click the Edit Outcomes related to selected focus areas button. Each program focus area selection requires at least 1 outcome, but may include up to 3. The first outcome, 1.1, 2.1, and 3.1, are required and can be activated by toggling the Activate Outcome switch in each section. Once activated, this outcome will be attached to this core proposal. Any inactive outcomes will not be included once the application has been submitted. Each focus area specific outcome will have additional questions specific to the selected focus area at the bottom portion of the first outcome. The second and third outcomes will not require this information. Users may navigate away from this page one of 3 ways: save and return to the Program Outcomes tab, save and edit next outcome set, or mark focus areas as complete. If an outcome set has been completed and all required questions have been answered, navigate forward using the Mark Focus Area Outcomes as Complete button. You may use the Save buttons to navigate away from the page, but doing so will mark this outcome set as incomplete. Because we've entered 2 program focus area outcomes, you can see here we are navigated to our second set of outcomes, 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. Again, the first outcome in this set of 3, 2.1, is required to be activated, but for now, we'll skip this step for this demonstration. Now that we have some active outcomes, you can see they're displayed below their related program focus area. In order for this tab to be considered completed, users must have at least program focus area number 1 answered with outcome 1.1 marked as active and completed. Users cannot mark this tab as completed with focus areas selected that don't have any active and/or completed outcomes. As you can see here, program focus areas number 2 has a selection made, but no active outcomes. If removing a focus area outcome, you must save program focus area before gaining the ability to mark the tab as complete. This removes any active outcomes related to program focus area 2 and allows for this tab to be marked as complete. Moving on to tab 4, Program Request. This section is where you will enter all activities, services, and other program-related expenses. This tab consists of 3 sub-tabs: Request Total, Activities and Services Request, and Atypical Services and Expenses. The Request Total page is read-only and provides a summary of total amounts entered in each section, including the total funding request to CSF for the full 36-month core cycle. To complete this section, enter Activities and Services on the Activities and Services B tab at the top of this page. Enter Other Expenses on the Atypical Service and Expenses C tab at the top of this page. Once you've completed and saved entries in both tabs, return to the Request Total, a tab, and click the Refresh and Check Request Compliance button. This will update the summary to reflect your changes and help ensure the application complies with CSF core contract requirements, as well as updated CSF with this application's total requested amount. Information can be entered into sub-tabs B and C in any order, but for this demonstration, let's start with tab B, Activities and Services Request. Begin by entering information on the first program activity record. You may add additional records by clicking any Add New Program Activity button on this tab. You can delete any program activity record by using the gray trash icon above the specified record. Once all information is entered correctly, click Save and calculate new total to do just that. Once our tab reloads, you can see that the Activities and Services total highlighted in yellow has an updated value. Navigating back to Subtab A and using the Refresh button, we can see that this information has now been translated across tabs. Moving into Tab C, Atypical Expenses and Services, we can see the layout is a bit different. On this page, we're asking for atypical request information in two different ways. For school-based services, interpretation, substance use medication, outreach awareness, translation. There are a set of gray sections asking for total dollar request and description information. These fields are as straightforward as they seem, however. Some sections have category specifications. For example, outreach and awareness request is capped at 5% of the total reward. This may trigger a warning notification later in the process. If a particular section is not applicable, please leave the fields in that section blank. A $0 placeholder will appear in the blank dollar request. Entering a 0 into this field will cause a validation error, preventing users from saving until this field is cleared. The second method of requesting information applies to materials and supplies. At the bottom of this tab is a table for materials and supplies. The functionality of this table is the same as previous tables, although the fields are quite different. Click New in the upper right corner of the tab. A pop-up will appear. Answer all required information and click Save. A new line item should appear within the table. Once you have made entries, you may click Save and calculate new total. After the page reloads, you can see our new tab totals highlighted in yellow. Upon navigating back to Subtab A and clicking Refresh, you can see this information has also been translated across tabs. You can see we've received a new warning message, and if we scroll to the bottom, we can see that outreach and awareness exceeds 5% of the total request. For now, let's go change that value to a 0. Now that outreach and awareness has a total dollar request that doesn't exceed 5%, our warning message has disappeared and the status indicator on tab has been changed to Ready for Submission. Although this tab says Ready for Submission, there may be still more information you may need to enter before it's actually ready for submission. This tab just indicates if there are any warning signs present and prevents application submission if so. And finally, the last tab in the core application, Tab 5, Application Requirements Check. This tab is used to show the completed status for each tab in the application. On this tab is a section titled Core Application Completion Check. In this section, you'll find 5 true-false fields. When a section becomes marked as completed, it will move from a false red to a green true. True-false fields 1 to 4 are tracking the status indicators on the first 4 corresponding tabs. Once those tabs are marked as completed, the information is then fed into this tab. True-false field 5 labeled Candid Requirements Passed, checking whether this applicant agency has met CSFS requirements for Candid. If you're unsure about this step, reach out to CSF support. Below this, we have an additional contact information section. This section is optional, though you'll want to provide the information for this section if you wish to receive email updates about this application to an additional or specific email address. To update this tab, use the Run Compliance Check button located at the top or bottom of this tab. As you can see, our tabs have gone from red to green. And now that we've got the green light on our application check, a highlighted green Submit button appears at the bottom of this tab. Clicking this button will submit your application to CSF, but please note, submitting this application will finalize things. You'll no longer have the ability to make changes or updates, so please ensure you're ready for submission. At this point, if any changes are made to other tabs, the Salesforce system will reject your submission without first using the Run Compliance check button. And once you click Submit, you'll be taken to an application summary page where you can print and review your entries. A confirmation email will be sent to the up to 2 email addresses provided during this application process.